Greetings again and welcome again to this channel. We are going to have a conversation with one of the prominent students in theology. We are on 1st October 2024. We are currently in Maryvale Formation House. This is Durban in South Africa. And today, as I was saying already, we have a particular guest who is going to share with us his findings in what they call research papers as they exit the theology studies in St. Joseph Theological Institute. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome.
Thank you. Thank
how
you
are
so
you
much.
doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine also.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So this is Yannick Wedraogo. I think you have other names. Can you please mention them and be
So
brief?
my full name is Wedraogo Wenkuni Etienne Yannick Flavien from Burkina Faso.
Thank you very much. And Yannick, you just have finalized your research paper in which you tackle one of the topics. Can you please walk us through what you have found as you were doing your research?
Okay, for your brief presentation, I've worked on poverty in general and poverty in Burkina Faso in particular, in the line of Chrysostom. Chrysostom. So, and in my research, why did I first of all decide to work on this? Is that I think that nowadays theology should not only focus on heaven and heavenly matters. It should also tackle our contemporary issues. And also that in Africa, our notion of salvation is not only spiritual, it's also it's holistic. It includes also material. So, and since in Africa and in Burkina in particular, many people really live in poverty, I really thought that it would be good that as a theologian, I look into this hot topic that is poverty, the gap between the rich and the poor in Burkina Faso. So my work generally, I first looked at the reality of wealth inequality in Burkina Faso. Then I used the lenses of Chrysostom, particularly in his second discourse on the rich man and Lazarus, to judge the situation in order to draw solutions that can practically help in the context of Burkina Faso. So in my findings, in particularly in the first part, the reality, it came out very clearly that in Burkina Faso, in many sectors, there is inequality, wealth inequality in the population. As one of the examples, the richest has 3 billion. You can imagine that in a country like Burkina Faso, there is a person who has 3 billion US dollars as net worth in Burkina Faso, while the majority can afford 2 meals a day.
Oh, thank you very much. It sounds really a theology from the grassroots, as they call. So now, in your work, you really you've just said you judged them like there is inequalities. So so about exactly this wealth inequality, do you think there could be ever what we can call wealth equality, and if yes, in which way?
Okay, but I would say that wealth equality, as properly said, I did not tackle that. Why? Because I would not say that is the aim, but that is not it should not, even if we have inequality, the problem is that it shouldn't be so huge, or that it should not avoid it, just prevent people from living normally. What do I mean? Is that on the one hand, you have to know that those who are wealthy, for the better part of people, they have really worked hard for their wealth. So, and biblically, and even according to Chrysostom, those who have worked hard gain their wealth by doing good, not really stealing from people. It's not in itself a bad thing. Only that they have to remember that they are stewards and that their wealth, they have to share it with those who don't have. So wealth inequality, we cannot just say wealth equality, everyone who should be having the same. No, it's because we are different and our needs are also very different. So for me, this is not really the aim. The aim is that those who have more should remember that they are stewards and that all the wealth of the world are destined for everybody, and that they should give what they have to those who are in need. Also support in maybe many ways. In my findings, I proposed many things for that.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. By the way, in the title already, there is a very key word you put, alleviating. And as you are speaking, you say rich people should try to share, try to support others. I don't know if it is this we call alleviating, and if is that the case, why not don't we talk of putting an end to what I could call misery? Because not only we can think of helping people to at least to uplift them a bit. It's like you are giving them daily bread. Why can't we think of really putting an end to poverty? Is it possible?
That is actually where the point is. Putting an end to poverty, to the misery that people live in Burkina Faso. That is really the aim, because you see, the majority live in poverty because the minority have taken most of the wealth, and they take more than they need. So what we need is to bring conscientize people through our work, through our theology, bring to light that this gap, this between the rich and the poor, should be alleviating. How? Now the rich should invest in empowering the poor, at least that they reach to the level of a dignified living, because the creation is destined for all of us, and then all the wealth that we amass should be used by each and everyone. That's why they should invest in structures that could alleviate everyone and give everyone a dignified life.
All right, thank you. And the next question consists in what I can call already your minister, your minister actually. You are a deacon in the Catholic Church, and of course, the Bible is one of the two in which you take your teachings from. So, and in the Bible, it is mentioned that blessed are the poor in the spirit. So now, with that in mind, because those poor in spirit will inherit the kingdom, as the Bible says, what does it mean? And don't you think that this statement can be danger to the development of the Burkina poor people who might take this kind of literally?
Yes, that's true. That's for sure. It is. We have to look at it critically.
Yes.
When the Bible says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit," poverty, we have several types of poverty, but I will just focus on what this one is, that this poverty that the Bible is talking about is not directly the material poverty in itself. Poverty that the Bible talks about is that the riches that prevent a human being to be full of the riches that make a human being to be full of itself. So when you are rich, when the Bible says the rich, is those who let their possession become their God, kind of. So they have become so full of themselves because of what they possess. Being poor in spirit means then that you have to, despite, independently of what you may be having, your talents or your wealth, it should keep you humble, knowing that all that you have received comes from God and that you have to use it for the benefit of others. So it's not letting your riches overshadow God's plan. So in that sense, if you have realized that, you enter into the logic of Chrysostom, that your wealth, you should share it with others, and you remain humble, and that you don't let your wealth really blindfold you, and that the poor should not be complacent in being poor.
Fair enough, fair enough. So my next question, I'm taking into comparison. In Tanzania, the former president and the late Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere initiated what he called Ujamaa, and sometimes known as Harambe. And this is the model to assist the poor in some context, So now you pointed out in your work that the rich are mere caretakers, then the stewards of God's wealth, which they should even share with the poor, you mentioned. Why would now a poor person in Burkina Faso struggle to find a job, knowing that he can easily just be idle and get from the rich? Would he even, or would she think of initiating or struggle to find even an occupation, a job? I mean.
No, so yeah, that can be really understood the way you, because my work should not be understood in that way, that the rich have to give their wealth or some of their wealth to the poor who really sit and don't want to do anything. No. The aim of this research is to bring awareness, first of all, that the rich are not in themselves ipso facto wrong in their way of it is when they refuse to share that they enter into evil doing. But also that the poor should realize that the rich have become rich by hard work, and that they are also called to giving themselves, to participating in the creation of God, to really exerting themselves in bringing themselves to fulfillment. So in that sense, what I propose is that the rich don't give to the poor. You don't give, you teach people to fish. So I propose that they should invest in structures like in education or in skill development, so that those people should go and learn how to take care of themselves, and so by so doing come out of poverty and in kind of by themselves, but with the help of the rich.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm heading away to the last question, and exactly, I'm happy because I've just mentioned that the rich should empower the poor people. You gave an example even of education, and which exactly is my next question concerning the church now, to which you belong by your ministerial status. So it is known, without the fear of contradiction, that the church herself has invested in schools. But it is also noticed that those schools are highly expensive, to the point that poor people cannot just easily afford to get education, to get place in church schools, Catholic schools, because of the price. And you have mentioned already that the school is a tool to conscientize people into maybe that something that can help to uplift them from the poverty. How are you going to explain that the church that's preaching at the same time to the poor, to the rich, to assist the poor, cannot have put in place means to help the poor people access education in a very cheap way, to the point that even that last poor person can attend quality education from the Catholic schools?
For sure, this is a regrettable situation that most of the Catholic institutions, they are extremely expensive. So, and that shouldn't be. The church is a church for the poor, to the poor, to uplift the poor. And I think this should have been the place where the poor should find education, should find treatment, should find at the lesser cost. But it is really regrettable that nowadays, if we see, it is all the institutions of the church, they are extremely expensive. And that's what, but that's one hand of the problem. Me, I would think that they could maybe to reduce the prices of everything, because some of the time people separate themselves from the church. They feel the church is the leadership of the church, and then the Christians, the faithful, they are a bit left behind. They are not really put forward. What I would think is that they, instead of really raising for funds to pay people like the workers, we can employ these Christians, dedicated Christians, even if they are working in government, that they can give a hand at the cheaper price, so that the poor can come in and get maybe treatment, maybe education, and all that. On the other hand, also it's a complicated, because the resources of also of the church is a bit limited. When we think of the church at the largest sense, we may say that it is rich. But if you take like a local church, for instance, in Burkina Faso, you may not be having also the funding to run a school and to do. That's why the school fees have to be really consequent, so that you have to pay the teachers and all this. That's the resources also are scarce. That's one of the problem. But I think that we should work towards towards the fact that people can give themselves not only their resources but their talents. And in those schools, you can be working in government, giving a hand, really like a solidarity thing, so that education, health centers can be affordable for the poor.
Thank you very much. And this puts end to our conversation. And I thank you again for your time and your availability.
Thank you so much
to share really your findings. Very interesting topic. And congratulations.
Thank you so much. It has been a journey. Thank you so much. It has been a journey.
Yes.
So I will put my work online.
Exactly.
And everyone who wishes can access it. And read
we can't wait to have that. Yes. For sure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you so much. Right. Thank you for having me.